As the weather starts to get a bit colder, we naturally turn to slow winter cooking, and here's a great recipe to fight those winter chills: black braised beef ribs. I don't reckon there's any better way to cook in winter than slow braising in a big old cast iron pot. These Le Creuset pots are not the cheapest around, but they are really, really worth it. This is the first enamel cast iron pot I bought. I probably bought it about 20 years ago, but if you look at how much I've used it over that time, probably once a week for 2 decades, it is absolutely worth the price of entry. I'm going for something a little bit bigger today because we've got a couple of kilos of beef ribs here. These are the ingredients that we need. Beef ribs, aromatics over here, some onion, garlic, and ginger. Here are our spices: fennel, star anise, cinnamon, and tobanjan. Tobanjan's a Chinese chili bean sauce. You can get it from Asian grocers or even just at your regular supermarket. And then our seasonings here as well: soy sauce, some dark soy sauce, sugar, a bit of water, and some sesame oil. I think the really great thing about modern cast iron is that they've got the weight right to do the job. It's heavy enough to get that even heat that you want across the base and around the sides as well, but it's not so heavy that you've got to struggle to put it in and out of the cupboards and then onto the stovetop as well. It's a really good weight. Now for my beef, so I just want to separate those into individual portions, cutting in between the ribs. Beef ribs are a great cut for slow cooking because they're on the bone, but they've also got good marbling of fat through it as well. You actually cook them almost like a steak, but they do also respond really well to a couple of hours in a big old pot. For my garlic, I just want to cut that in half, the whole head, and the onion too. Don't even need to peel this, just going to cut it in half. So really now all we've got to do is get it into the pot. So I'll put this on the stove. I reckon this kind of enameled cast iron pot and induction are a real match made in heaven. Obviously you can use it on gas or electric or whatever, but on induction you get the benefit of that even heat of the cast iron, but also the rapid heat of induction as well. I'm going to start with just some sugar and some water and bring that up to form dark caramel. The caramel's looking good, so I've got to work pretty quickly. Some sesame oil going in, and then in with the beef. Just want to coat the beef in the caramel, get it to sort of start to brown, and get a lot of flavour into the beef that way. Now a glug of Shaoxing wine and our soy sauces. Now I can start building all the rest of the ingredients into this slow braise. Our aromatics, garlic and ginger and onion. Then our hard spices: fennel, star anise and cinnamon. And our chili bean paste too, that tobanjan. This kind of cooking is really made for hard spices because it takes time and a long slow heat to really bring out all the essential oils in those spices. A couple of great matches here. The sulfur compounds in the onion, when you cook them slowly with the anethole and star anise, it really starts to bring out these meaty umami flavors. So it's a great combination whenever you're slow braising like this. I'll top it up with some water to bring the volume up to the top of the beef. I've got to add a bit more sugar too because the sugar I added at the beginning, I caramelized that, so it's got a nice bitterness and that's going to give great depth to this braise. But this sugar that I'm putting in now, that's for sweetness. Make sure it's well mixed, bring it to a simmer. Lid goes on. Drop the heat down a little bit because this is really going to keep the heat in there. And let that slowly go for a couple of hours. Check it every so often, make sure nothing's sticking to the bottom, but it really shouldn't. Just give it a bit of a nurture every half an hour or so and we should be okay. As time passes with this, you can really smell the aromatics and the spices releasing their flavour and it all coming together, and that's the true benefit of this slow cooking. It's pretty much done now. The meat is really, really tender. I don't want it completely falling off the bone so it's mush. I still want a bit of bite to it, but it's tender enough to cut into with a spoon. Just give it a taste. Very nice. And I can adjust my seasoning here. If it was not sweet enough, I put a bit more sugar. If it's not salty enough, a bit of salt. Very, very simple like that. I always think when you've got a slowly braised something, You want something light to counteract that at the end, in the same way that you might finish a Western braise with a persilade or a gremolata. I'm going to put some fresh aromatics on this at the end. There's some spring onion, some coriander, and also a little bit of fresh chili just to lighten it all up. That's a pretty good black braised beef rib.